Good morning. Another solid signing for the 49ers to report, to analyze, and this is a familiar one. Kerry Hyder Jr., the defensive lineman who was so good for the 49ers on a one-year deal in 2020, is back with them for 2022. A $1.5 million deal, $750,000 guaranteed, $750,000 in incentives, and 49ers fans will finally, injury barring, right? You gotta hope that these guys stay healthy, but 49ers fans will finally get to see Kerry Hyder get to work with Nick Bosa and company. It didn't get to happen in 2020 because Bosa tore his ACL against the New York Jets in week 2. Then it was the Kerry Hyder show at end, defensive end for the 49ers the rest of the way. 8.5 sacks in that 2020 season. Earned him a larger contract with Seattle in 2021. But Hyder only had a sack and a half last year for the Seahawks. So they just cut him a few days ago. And you could probably see this signing about a mile and a half away. The 49ers now have Hyder, whose best years have come under 49ers defensive line coach Chris Kaserick. In fact, 17.5 of Hyder's 20 career sacks have come playing under Chris Kaserick. 8.5 in that 2020 season. And then back in Detroit, Hyder had 8 and in 2016 and then 1 in 2017, both of those seasons under Chris Kaserick. He went to the Cowboys, was productive for Dallas, but was more of an adaptability piece, was playing actually more inside than outside for the Cowboys in the 2019 season before rejoining forces with Kocurek in 2020, putting up those 8.5 sacks for the 49ers in that season while Bosa was out, earning the money with Seattle. That didn't work out all too well. Hyder got cut. Now he's back to the 49ers. And I can tell you what, this can be a stacked 49ers defensive line, and it can be cut from that Moneyball mode. Let's get a picture of Kerry Hyder up on the screen first. Everybody subscribe to the channel if you haven't had a chance to yet. But there he is. This is from last year, so don't be fooled by the headline. Last year on March 19th, so almost exactly a year ago, I wrote, Kerry Hyder, Cordarrelle Patterson, the 49ers' 10 best remaining free agent fits. Now, obviously, the 49ers didn't sign Hyder last year because Seattle poached him away for more money. But the point stood. He was a good free agent fit for the 49ers. And you can see it now. They have him for less. In fact, probably a good idea right now. Why don't we look to see how much of his contract in Seattle Kerry Hyder earned? And we'll be able to financially analyze how this whole, I don't want to say scrap heap, but I guess Seattle put him in the scrap heap when they cut him. But the 49ers are so good at yielding the most out of other defensive linemen that other team can't seem to maximize. I mean, look at what happened with Arden Key this past year. 3 sacks in 3 years for the Raiders, blows up with the 49ers, 6.5 sacks, and his impact, I thought, was even greater than that when he started lining up on the inside. So I'm going to Kerry Hyder's cap page here. We have his history. For the 49ers in 2020, Kerry Hyder played for a base salary of $1.25 million with a per game roster bonus total of $250,000. So Kerry Hyder played for $1.5 million for the 49ers in 2020. Then he signed the deal with the Seahawks, and he ended up being paid a total, even after getting cut, a total of $3.65 million for the season. All right, so that should give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. The 49ers paid Hyder for 8.5 sacks. They paid him $1.5 million. 8.5 sacks, $1.5 million. The Seahawks for 1.5 sacks paid Hyder $3.7 million. So that's what we talk about, Moneyball, efficiency, finding the best value on the market. Well, the 49ers, they saw Hyder turning 30 last year, and they're like, we don't want to give him that mid-tier, that little bit bigger deal. We don't think that he's going to be quite worth that, but we do want him on a lower deal. Well, the Seahawks outbid them, and it's Hyder's prerogative to go get as much money as he can. So he went to the Seahawks. He picked up $3.65 million in one season with the Seahawks for 1.5 sacks, and now he's back with the 49ers on a deal that's far less valuable than that, $1.5 million plus some incentives, and I'll explain how those incentives work in a bit. But the 49ers and Hyder, both parties probably couldn't be happier because, again, Hyder's best seasons, those 8-sack seasons, have both come under Chris Kaserick. So now we talk about the money and the incentives. I don't have the exact deals on the contract yet. But here, $750,000 in sack incentives means that Hyder obviously has to reach a certain amount of sacks to be paid, probably escalating portions of that money. Now, the way that incentives work against the cap is they're either likely to be earned or not likely to be earned. If incentives are likely to be earned, they count against the current year's cap. So they count against the 22 49ers salary cap. If they're not likely to be earned, a player can still earn them, but they won't be counted until the 2023 cap. Well, since only 1.5 sacks for Hyder last season in Seattle happened, his incentives are NLTBE. That stands for not likely to be earned, because I guarantee you that the 49ers set the incentives higher than 1.5 sacks. Now, the 49ers, I think, expect Hyder to do better than that because he's always done better under Chris Kaserick. But this is another creative way of backloading a contract. We've seen the 49ers push money into the future, knowing the salary cap is going to explode in future years with NFL revenue projected to increase with these new $110 billion media deals kicking in next season. So the 49ers strategy is really simple. They know there's going to be plenty of money in the future. They're kicking the can down the road because it's actually sustainable to do so now. So they restructured Eric Armstead. They restructured George Kittle. They restructured Dee Ford. They did all this stuff that was considered financially risky in the past, but as I've explained on this show, it's not as risky anymore. Well, with this Kerry Hyder contract, it's obviously on a smaller scale, but this is another way of backloading in a creative fashion. It's not a signing bonus. It's not an option bonus. It's not a buyback bonus. It's simply a not likely to be earned incentive, and probably a series of them worth up to $750,000 that won't be counted against the cap here in 2022 when the 49ers need the space to extend some players, to sign some more. They still haven't filled out the 53-man roster. But if Hyder does meet those incentives, it will be counted in 2023 when the 49ers have much more cap room because the cap will have gone up by that time. One thing about Kerry Hyder, back in 2020, he said that he actually likes playing inside over outside. And for that reason, we should take a look at the 49ers 90-man depth chart to see where I have him slotted in. You might be a little bit surprised by this, but we'll zoom in on the defensive line room. I should zoom out so you can see the positions. Yeah, there you go. And we'll make this a little bit bigger, but here in the blue, this is what I have as a projected roster cut down day room for the defensive line. Anything on the left side of the red here is a 53-man roster. So defensive end, Nick Bosa. Defensive tackle, Eric Armstead. Another defensive tackle, Javon Kinlaw. Defensive end, Samson Ebukam. The Bravo, that's the Alpha unit, the top unit. The Bravo unit, Charles Omenihu behind Bosa. Kerry Hyder just signed right there at defensive tackle behind Armstead. Hassan Ridgeway behind Kinlaw. Jordan Willis behind Ebukam. And then your turbo unit, or, just your third string, Maurice Hurst and Kevin Givens. I'm waiting for Maurice Hurst to prove that he can be healthy, and then I'll probably slot him even higher. Hurst, might even be able to take some snaps from Ridgeway. But Ridgeway, I think, is more of the nose tackle type for the 49ers. But the bottom line is that people might be surprised that I have Kerry Hyder listed right there, defensive tackle. But back in 2020, talked to Kerry Hyder. He said that he was actually more comfortable playing inside than outside. He played more snaps inside in the 2019 season with the Dallas Cowboys than he did at the edge position. By necessity, in 2020, when all the 49ers edge rushers started getting hurt, that's Nick Bosa, Dee Ford. I mean, you could just go down the list, right? But those two big names were hurt very early in the season. The 49ers had to start getting creative on the outside. And one of their paths of creativity was moving Kerry Hyder full-time to the edge. That obviously worked out for them. He had 8.5 sacks in that 2020 season. But given a healthier situation, like the one that Kerry Hyder was in Dallas in 2019, it's entirely possible that you see him play inside a whole lot more. And the 49ers have obviously just lost a key interior piece in DJ Jones, who is very versatile. They're obviously playing Eric Armstead both inside and out. And it makes total sense that they would play Kerry Hyder both inside and out, because this is a stacked money ball line. And by money ball, the 49ers are finding a way to maximize value, mix and match the pieces, scrounge for efficiency, find a way to make it work under possibly the best defensive line coach in the league. So this is an adaptability signing for the 49ers, and it's a good one at that $1.5 million salary with those incentives there, with that cap hit, much of it which probably won't be coming until 2023. It leads me to wonder, is Arden Key gone? Will the 49ers find a place in this crowded room? Because remember, if you zoom to the right, we haven't even counted D40 yet. I'm just assuming he's going to be hurt. You have Slayton, you have Barrett projected to the practice squad. But will the 49ers try to find Arden Key? And to me, I think that Arden Key might follow a similar path as this guy, Kerry Hyder. I think Arden Key is due to make a pay raise. 49ers probably aren't willing to pay it. He'll sign somewhere else. Then if Arden Key has a poor year because he's not playing for Chris Kaserick, well, the 49ers can pull a Kerry Hyder and bring Key back in 2023. So that's my question. Will the circle of life continue in 2023? Will Arden Key go out and get paid by somebody else this year? And will the 49ers take advantage of the fact that they have the best defensive line coach in the league to save money and keep the wheels of efficiency churning? Kerry Hyder was replaced by Arden Key, and now Kerry Hyder will replace Arden Key. Will Arden Key replace Kerry Hyder in 2023? I don't know. Or maybe the world will explode and the universe will go crazy because we'll have Kerry Hyder and Arden Key on the same team in 2023. It would take a re-signing, but this is how the 49ers operate. They're trying to be efficient with their signings. They're trying to bring some intelligence to how they construct the defensive line room, knowing that they have Chris Kaserick, probably one of the most valuable coaches in the league, given what he's done for the 49ers D-line here over the past few seasons. And when they can take advantage of that, when they can rearrange and arrange the Tetris puzzle like that, and when it works, then you've seen the results over the past several seasons. So Kerry Hyder, $1.5 million, $750,000 guaranteed, $750K in incentives. His best years have come under Kocurek. He's back in a 49ers uniform, and I'm ready to take a few questions before I go and write this article. Be sure to subscribe to the channel now. Videos every day. We're getting deep into this stuff. It's not clickbait. Appreciate the support. We're creeping up there. I think as soon as we get to 20K on the channel, it's going to be some exponential growth, and we'll be able to get out there to all the 49ers fans, all NFL fans, really, because this is fun stuff. And it's been not even a year, already up to near 13,000. So let's get it to 20,000. Tell your friends about it. Hopefully you guys think that this is some good 49ers content. Trey Lance film breakdown. I'm still in the middle of those 8 episodes. 7 and 8 are coming up. I just have had a lot of free agency stuff to cover. And as you regular viewers know, I talk about food a lot. Next week, I'm going to Europe. So I'm taking the phone with me to Europe. I'm taking the YouTube live setup with me to Europe, and we'll talk 49ers from some really cool locations in Prague and then in Italy. So very excited to do that. Very excited to take your questions. Joey Nichols, good depth signing. We should still go edge with our first pick. Yes, that's one thing that I wanted to talk about. Where will the 49ers go in the draft? Now, this is a good draft full of some nice edge rushers. They might want a strong speed edge. So the guy out of Minnesota, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but boy, he was a combine star, and I have him in our athletics mock draft of the 49ers. Is going to be coming out on Monday. He's a 260-pounder, 4.5 40, good burst, Minnesota Golden Gopher. I think that the 49ers will really like that physical skill set if that drops number 61. That's the question, you know. But John Lynch likes that this draft is a little bit deeper. It's not as top heavy. It's a bit deeper. You got some nice edge pieces, and I think the 49ers philosophically like stacking this edge room. Yeah, Boye Mafe, but I don't know. I know that's his name, but I'm glad that you wrote it down there, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I don't want to butcher his name. I did just pronounce it. I might have butchered it, but that's why I have him off to the 49ers. And I should probably learn his name because I'm probably going to start talking draft stuff on the channel, move it a little bit forward. All right, let's talk. Do you think the Niners will look to draft for offensive line since the draft is supposed to be rich with O-linemen? Yes, I do. There's a lot of questions about O-line. So this is my most recent article. I'm going to write about the D-line and Kerry Hyder today. But those of you asking about the O-line, I have a whole separate video about it. Check the chat section right now for the link. You can get the Athletic for $1 a month. Those are the critical 3 challenges the 49ers must confront on the offensive line. You got to fill the vacancies at guard. You got to set up an apprenticeship for Alex Mack. Alex Mack is about to get married in Ireland, by the way, over in Dublin. So a lot of the 49ers, at least Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle and their wives, they're over there in Ireland right now for Alex Mack's wedding. But it's looking like Alex Mack is going to return, but he could still use his wealth of knowledge to be an apprentice, to be a teacher to an apprentice at the center position. And then you got to figure out right tackle. Do you add Billy Turner, who last played for the Packers? I mean, Mike McGlinchey is recovering from a torn quad. So, yes, I mean, maybe he does start in 2022, but he's also going to be in a contract year. You want more depth. Billy Turner can play guard as well. So you need to address those three issues. And, there's one name that I like. It's the Kentucky offensive lineman for the plan at center. This guy right here, Luke Fortner. He's played both guard and center. Maybe he's the guy the 49ers can bring in the mid rounds to be an apprentice to Alex Mack. But the bottom line is this team's got 9 draft picks. They have a lot to address on the offensive line. Defensive line, I agree. You bring in somebody through the draft because you like his upside, and there are a lot of exciting players, and you have 9 picks, and you continue to make that room deeper and deeper because that's where your philosophy is if you're the 49ers. But the offensive line right now is not at an acceptable level, and you have to bring that offensive line to an acceptable level. So how will the 49ers do it? Well, I like a potential Billy Turner signing if they could do that, but he might be a little bit pricier than they want, so they better go to the draft. And I think they should do both. And you can't rely on guys drafted in the 5th, 6th, 7th round on the offensive line to be plus contributors. And I think the 49ers have learned that with Justin School, with McKivitz, with Jalen Moore was a 5th rounder. I know he did some good stuff, but they need to get better on the offensive line or they're not going to win a championship. I think it's as simple as that. If Kinlaw isn't healthy, would Hyder slide into a spot? Very, very possibly. I think that the 49ers on base downs want more of a nose tackle type. That's why you have Hassan Ridgeway. They picked him up here during free agency. But Kerry Hyder is really versatile. He could play all the techniques up on that defensive line, and that's really good for Chris Kaserick because he can mix and match, and he could yield the greatest possible efficiency out of this defensive line. What are the chances that D Ford contributes at all this year? Well, as you guys probably know, at this time last season, Matt Barrows and I reported that D Ford was working hard and believed that he would play in 2021. So it was in March of 2021. We said 6 months down the line, D Ford might be contributing for the 49ers. And lo and behold, he was ready for week 1. He made noise while he was healthy, but then, of course, the back started bothering him again. This season, at this point of the year, I have no such intel. I don't have intel in either direction. If I get the intel, I'll be the first to tell you. You'll hear it from me first. So subscribe to the channel because a lot of 49er stuff I think you hear from me first. But right now, I don't have the intel. And I do know that D Ford has been rehabbing. And I also do know that back injuries are extremely problematic. And I also do know that the smartest way to approach this from a roster construction standpoint is to just assume that D Ford won't be ready because that back is so fickle. So anything that you do get from D Ford, you consider to be found money. No news right now on Jason Verrett. I think that Jason Verrett's probing the market as he does recover from that ACL tear. And, that could be a bargain bin signing for the 49ers. Couldn't be bad. Some more questions down here. Austin, this is another question. Austin Hooper signed with the Titans. The 49ers aren't going to get Austin Hooper. Georgia does have an insane collection of D-line talent. It just depends on where they're going to go in the draft. Remember, the 49ers don't pick until number 61. I mean, yeah, with D Ford, there's not much to lose by carrying him. You could release him post June 1st for $1 million in savings, but the 49ers have other ways to free up that money. So I think in this instance with D, you just sit back and you just hope that he can give you something. Because if there's a chance he can give you something, it's worth keeping him around. You've restructured that contract. You've minimized the cap hit as much as you can for now, but a standard release would still be more expensive than keeping him. So house money. House money is the way to look at D Ford. Josh James just signed up for the Athletic. Can't get a better deal than $1 a month for 6 months. Hit that like button too. And yeah, if you like the Athletic, it's $1 a month. If you want to be a super follower on Twitter, that just opened up. I'm not, really 100% sure about how that's going to go, but I think already 20 of you are super following me on Twitter. It's a good way to support. I love the support, and I'll try to create super interactive videos and stuff, and maybe even meetups with the super followers. So you can do that. But signing up for that $1 a month deal is pretty cool right now. And obviously, the free way that you can contribute is hitting that subscribe button right now on this video. I mean, Jason Verrett, he recovered from his first ACL tear and he played great football. He could recover from this one and play great football. You're not going to sign him to a $5 million deal. You're going to sign him likely to the veteran minimum. Verrett had a ton wrong with him medically, right? In 2020 when the 49ers signed him to a minimum deal, and he played Pro Bowl level football for him in 2020. So you bring him in on a flyer, no lose situation, and you see what happens. I think that's the thinking for Jason Verrett. Now, if a team is willing to pay him $3 or $4 million, that team won't be the 49ers, and they'll let him, they'll let him walk to that team. But if you could bring him in on a flyer, then why not? In 2020, it certainly paid off for the 49ers. Verrett at the vet man is worth it. Blake says, I support Team Lombardi. Appreciate you, Blake. If you aren't signed up for $1 a month at The Athletic, you're missing out. Straight steal. Again, link is in the chat section. I'm posting it twice. I get credit if you sign up through my link. So that's good. Good sandwich and beer money for the super fans. Exactly. Hey, and you guys know that I give the best sandwich and beer recommendations and restaurant recommendations. So if you're a super fan, you get that kind of stuff. And I'm traveling a lot this off season, so it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, everybody, thank you. If there's one more good question that comes through, then I'll answer it. If not, you guys know the drill. Summary, Kerry Hyder, $1.5 million. 49ers make another good signing because a lot of that is incentive-based money. Kerry Hyder's best years have come under Chris Kaserick. This is a stacked Moneyball 49ers defensive line where they could really mix and match, because Hyder's actually said that he likes playing inside more than he likes playing outside. Because only 1.5 sacks happened for Hyder last year, most of his incentives are not likely to be earned, which is another way of creative backloading by Parag Marathe and the 49ers, $750,000 and not likely to be earned incentives. 17.5 of Hyder's 20 career sacks have come under Chris Kaserick. So this adaptability signing means that Arden Key is likely gone. But hey, the circle of life might continue in 2023. And by that, I mean Kerry Hyder replaced Arden Key. Arden Key might go get paid just like Kerry Hyder did last year, not do as well under Chris Kaserick. Then he might come in and not necessarily replace Kerry Hyder in 2023, but join Kerry Hyder in 2023. The circle of life refers to the fact that the 49ers are very efficient under Chris Kaserick, who's an absolute weapon in maximizing yield for defensive linemen. Hyder, 8.5 sacks in 2020, 8 in 2016. Both of those years under Kaserick. Get ready for him to eat. Get ready for him to take on opposing quarterbacks, because he's going to be there with Nick Bosa this time. And obviously, he's going to be playing for his favorite coach. All right, good stuff. Everybody take care. Subscribe to the channel. Look out for the article on Kerry Hyder that I'm about to work on for The Athletic right now. We'll talk to you all soon.